When I first started this channel, the goal was to teach people how to study efficiently. Now, what I noticed in my own life is that when I was able to study efficiently, I had the time to pursue other hobbies. I had the time to do stuff that I liked, whether it was exercising, whether it was other stuff like reading, going out with friends. I had the time to do other stuff. I recognized pretty early on that studying efficiently is going to be the key to me living a good life, a life that I actually want to live. I recognized from early on that I didn't want to study 10 hours a day. Like, that's just not the life that I wanted to live. Now, when I first started the channel, it was even before ChatGPT. It was a couple months before ChatGPT. So the whole craze about, oh, AI is going to replace us all. None of us are going to have jobs in the future. All the jobs are going to become obsolete. None of that was going around either. I just did it literally because I wanted to live a good, well-balanced life. But in the past couple of months, it's become more and more clear to me that it's gone beyond that. It's gotten to the point where it's not about work balance anymore. It's about work. It's about you actually getting a job. It's about us, being able to secure, a roof over our heads in the future. Now, listen, I know that a lot of the people that I'm going to be speaking to are probably still in high school or even university, but it's closer than you think. Like, if you're in high school, if you're 16 right now, for example, in literally just a couple of years, you're going to be applying to internships, and then you're going to be thinking about your full-time job and all of that. And so it's literally closer than you think. And so it's more important for you to use these years to actually learn how to study efficiently now versus kind of delaying it until later on where it's too late. Now, let's just give some background. A lot of us are unfortunately influenced by our teachers and our parents. And what do they tell us? They tell us, go to a good university, get good grades, and you'll be fine. And listen, from their perspective, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they came from a generation where if you literally just went to university, not even like a good university, just university, at least my parents, if you just went to university, you're basically guaranteed employment after graduation. Because the majority of people didn't even go to university. I'll put some stats up, but right now, there are more workers in the workforce that have college degrees than ever before. And that makes sense. But back then, the percentage of people that went to university was so low that it was actually looked at as some sort of advantage. Versus now, where it's basically a prerequisite. Now, why is that important? Well, if back then it was important for you to get a university degree for you to set yourself apart, right now, you're not really setting yourself apart. Now, there's talks about masters being the new bachelors or whatever, but let's just put that to the side. Most of us just want to graduate uni and work. And so again, it goes back to the question, well, if uni is it's not what's going to set you apart anymore, then, what'd you do? Well, I mean, what sets you apart? And the answer to that is, well, you've probably seen a trend. Well, maybe you've seen TikTok, maybe you've talked to your friends and everything, but right now it feels like getting internships is more important than ever. I remember back when I was kind of younger. I mean, I'm not that old, but back in the day for me, someone doing an internship it wasn't that common. I mean, yeah, he did an internship to get some experience. That's pretty good on his behalf. But right now it feels like getting an internship is the bare minimum. And even if you have an internship or two, if they're not good internships, you're still not going to find employment. And I've even seen a trend on TikTok of people delaying graduation. Now, in certain countries, of course, based on the system, you can actually just delay your graduation as much as you want. And so these people will delay graduation just to do more internships. They're literally delaying employment just to do more internships. Well, you got to ask yourself why. It's because in the back of our minds, we know that we need these internships to go ahead and do jobs and get jobs and whatever. And so we've kind of valued these internships a lot. And it's gotten to the point where, back in the day, getting an internship was just as simple as applying to one. And if you're in the right major, then they'll probably accept you. If it's a really good one, maybe you have to know someone or get some experience. But, they weren't that hard. I mean, getting an internship was always easier than, getting a job after graduation. Right now, it's gotten to a point where you literally have to apply to hundreds of internships just to hear back from a couple. This is from my experience and from other people's experience as well. I mean, last year alone, I was in my second year, and I applied to a lot of internships. I stopped tracking at some points. I had an Excel sheet where I was tracking them. I just stopped caring at some points because I got nothing. I literally got nothing. And now that kind of leads us to the question of, okay, why did I get nothing? I mean, why did I not have anything to set me apart? I was doing a degree. I'm in computer science. And, back in the day, that was probably enough for me to land an internship, even if it's not that good of an internship. But then it got to a point where I couldn't even get an interview, let alone an internship. And so the question is, okay, well, what do we have to do now? What sets people apart? And it's gotten to a point where, at least from my experience in computer science, but this basically applies to all majors. What's important is to have extracurriculars. What's important is to have, for example, for like a comp sci perspective, projects. Projects that show off your skill set and all of that. And I had a couple projects as well, by the way, but still wasn't enough. It's also important to just have like general expertise, whether it's finishing other courses, that's still part of your extracurriculars, and so on. And honestly, it's gotten to a point where this basically applies to any major. I mean, if we're talking about engineering, if we're talking about business, if we're talking about, most other majors, I don't know specifically like med school and law school, those are a bit different, but I know that they're very competitive to get into. And if you want to get into them, you also have to have extracurriculars. And so we could honestly generalize this to all majors. If you want to succeed in getting an internship so you can get a job, you need to have extracurriculars. Now, the question is, okay, well, how does that link to efficient studying? Well, because part of the reason why I wanted to start this channel to begin with is because I saw a pretty disturbing trend. A trend where people were talking about how they study 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, even 12 hours a day. Now, these videos always do well just because, there's like a shock factor. Oh, how does he do it? How does he study 12 hours a day? I want to do that as well. But if we're being honest, the underlying message is actually quite disturbing. The underlying message is that if you want to do well in life, if you want to do well in employment or whatever, you need to study for literally half of the day. And we're talking about the full day, not even the time that you're awake. You need to study for half of the day, 12 hours a day. I'm sorry, but that's disturbing to me. I can never, not even imagine myself, I can never even think about suggesting that to anyone, let alone imagining it for myself. Studying for 12 hours a day, like I don't want to sound too European, but we have other stuff to do. There's other stuff to do with our lives. Like we shouldn't be studying for the full day. And so, when I kind of noticed the trend and then I was comparing it to what I was doing, I noticed that I was getting pretty good grades, albeit it was in high school, but I took GCSEs and A-levels, which are pretty difficult. I was getting pretty good grades while not studying for more than an hour a day. And so I realized, okay, there's probably something that I'm doing that other people aren't. And that's kind of where this channel came in. And, so far I've helped thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people kind of do the same thing as well, achieve the top grades. Now, why am I talking about this? It's because whether we like it or not, we have a certain amount of mental effort that we can exert per day, certain amount of creativity, that type of thing. And so if you're literally studying for half of the day, you're just not going to have enough time to pursue projects, pursue extracurriculars, other courses, that type of thing. And so what that means is that you're not going to have enough time to set yourself apart. That internship that you wanted to get, sure, you have a 4.0 GPA or you're graduating with a distinction, but guess what? Your competitors, they all have projects. They all have courses that they completed outside your degree. And so they're actually valued more than you, even though their GPA might be lower. And listen, I've seen so many cases in university as well. A student who's maybe an engineer in comp sci, whatever, 4.0 GPA, literally never even got below a 4.0 in any class. And yet he can't even land an internship. It's gotten to a point where your academics don't matter anymore. What matters is that you get by. Like, you do pretty well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like get like a 2.0 or anything. You should do pretty decent. But then do it in an efficient manner. And with the rest of your time, dedicate that towards grinding extracurriculars, grinding projects, for example, that are going to help you set yourself apart, and that type of thing. And so to kind of wrap this video around, the whole idea is that if you cannot figure out how to study efficiently, if you just stick to, let me just try to study 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, I'm sorry, but you're going to get to a point where you're going to be left behind in the job market. Now, other people might say, well, I need a 4.0 GPA to apply to med school and all that stuff. But listen, I have a lot of friends as well that are doing pre-med. And based on what they're telling me, a 4.0 GPA is just, it's not going to set you apart. It's basically a prerequisite at this point, which means you still need to study efficiently. You still need to study efficiently to get a 4.0. And then with the rest of the time, you use that to set yourself apart. That's the whole, going back to the whole idea of we need to set ourselves apart. But that's only going to come with the time and also the mental capacity. But if you're using all that time and effort on just studying, which at this point is kind of the lowest leverage thing that you could do, then guess what? You're not going to be able to set yourself apart. Now, that's kind of a thought that I had, and it's kind of going to be the basis of the future of this channel. Now, listen, I've thought a lot about this channel. I've put a lot of effort into this channel. And if I'm being fully honest, and this is kind of for my long-term viewers who are kind of checking back, because this is my first video in like 8 months or something, I thought a lot about this channel. I thought a lot about kind of where to take it, whether or not to continue it, whether kind of my journey is over or not. And listen, if I'm being fully transparent with you, because I want to like turn a new page and I want to make this like as honest as possible. My main motivator when kind of starting the channel was I saw people that had a problem, which is they couldn't study efficiently, and I thought that I could capitalize on that problem and in the process get sponsorships or sell a course, which is what I did, and so on. But when doing that, what I realized is that a part of me was, for example, if I'm selling a course, then there's going to be information that I can't include in the videos because it has to be behind the paywall. And if I do that, then it means that I'm not actually giving the full value that I could be giving. Now, the reason I say that is because I've kind of gotten to a point where I just genuinely want to kind of give as much value as possible. And then, the money will come from elsewhere. The money will come from the attention that I grab and all that stuff, but that's irrelevant right now. And so the reason I'm saying that is because I feel like right now, and of course, I'd love to get the opinions of people that have followed me for the last couple of months or even years. So if you could let me know in the comments, what you think as well. But I feel like the way to go forward is not necessarily focus on just GCSEs and A-levels, but as a whole, whether it's studying as a whole, high school, university, even general productivity tips that will help with the whole process of actually getting the top grades and all of that. And also just making the content as value-packed as possible. And part of that is kind of just speaking out of the heart, like I'm trying to do in this video. Basically, every single video that I put out over the past 3 years has been scripted, except this one. This video, I just said, let me try to make it raw. Let me just try to... I had some notes, don't get me wrong. I'm not completely speaking off the dome, but let me actually try to give as much value as I could possibly give. And so that's kind of the path that I'm trying to take. I'm going to try to increase my outputs. I'm going to try to make more videos. But at the same time, I really want to give as much value as possible. Because what I realize is that when selling a course, for example, the majority of students just won't finish it. And that's applicable to any niche, whether it's studying or making money or anything. The majority of students will buy it and then they won't completely go through with it. Which means that although, they did pay me, and in that case I got paid, I haven't actually helped them the way that they deserve to be helped. And so that's kind of where this comes in, where I say, let me just give as much value as possible through these videos. And then if someone wants to work with me at a higher level, which means like literally, me designing their kind of their revision timetable, and then we have weekly calls. That's kind of a program that I offer as well. It's not fully launched yet, but it is a program that I offer. So if someone is interested, just let me know in the comments. We can have that conversation. But then that's kind of where I step in and I say, okay, let me, go in at a deeper level as well that I can't kind of do with on a platform like YouTube. So yeah, that's kind of a rant for the long-term viewers of this channel. And I'd really love to get your feedback. I feel like it's getting to a point where I just want to make it transparent and I just want to give as much value as possible. So yeah, that was kind of my the thoughts that I've been having for the past couple of months about studying efficiently and why it's really going to be the differentiator between the people who got the jobs and the people who don't. It's gotten to a point where a 4.0 alone anymore is not going to get you a job. You need to study efficiently and then use the rest of your time to pursue other habits or projects or interests that will then make you more well-rounded, and also just more of an expert in general that will get your foot into the door of the internship, let alone the job. So yeah, that's been the video. And again, I'd really love to get your feedback in the comments. Other than that, I'll speak to you soon.